White Ribbon Campaign is a large movement that originated with boys and men taking a stand against gender violence, but it's grown into being able to have gender equality, healthy relationships, and we want to acknowledge and elaborate on the fact that violence can be perpetrated by all individuals, by any gender, but give respect to the foundation of what this cause was originally for. So at Alternative House, we're very grateful to work closely with all our local law enforcement and community partners that share the goal of supporting survivors, ending violence, and coming together for safety with healthy relationships and actions. So this year, we wanted to unite and break the mold. It's not just about men pledging to end violence, but all of us standing together, pledging as one to create a world free from harm and filled with respect for everyone. So I would like to go ahead and introduce our City of Lowell Mayor, Daniel Rourke.
Thank you very much. Good morning. First and foremost, thank the Alternative House for putting this day together once again, for bringing much needed attention, not just to today, but to every day. Domestic violence and also domestic abuse comes in many different forms, emotional, physical, financial. It really takes a toll on those that are affected and also and families as well. So we're very appreciative for the Alternative House for putting this day together. I'd like to welcome up my colleagues in government. I have our Vice Mayor, Paul Rathayoung. Paul, please join me. City Councilor Rita Mercia, State Representative Vanna Howard, and from Congresswoman Lloyd Hands Office, Simone Rathayoung. All these individuals have been pioneers in domestic violence, and I just wanted to allow them to be up here with me just to recognize their efforts, not only as elected officials, but in their everyday lives to help stop what seems like a never-ending problem. And we're very thankful to the DA's office and organizations such as the Alternative House that brings much needed attention to this very serious issue, and going forward by seeing the amount of people that are here today and working very hard to hopefully put an end to this once and for all. With that being said, I do have a citation I would like to present. The City of Lowell, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, by my honor, Daniel P. Rourke, Mayor Proclamation. Whereas the City of Lowell recognizes the importance of standing against domestic violence and all forms of gender-based violence. White Ribbon Campaign is the first male-led campaign to end violence against women and children in the world. It is critical to encourage men and boys to take a stand that violence in any form is never acceptable. And whereas the White Ribbon Day raises awareness and educates public about domestic violence, encourages participants to wear a white ribbon to show their support for the ending of culture of harm. Violence against women and children remains a destabilizing threat to our community and society. And whereas the City of Lowell is committed to taking tangible steps to raise awareness, support survivors, hold offenders accountable, and to promote safety, equity, and nonviolence in our community. We recognize the important life-saving work of the Alternative House and other stakeholders located within our municipality to end all violence. Therefore, I, Daniel P. Rourke, Mayor of the City of Lowell, along with my fellow city councilors and elected officials that are here today, proclaim today, March 14th, 2024, as White Ribbon Day in the City of Lowell, and urge all citizens to wear a white ribbon, stand against domestic violence, and support the important work of the Alternative House during this 14th day of March 2024. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
With that being said, I'd like to bring up our Lowell Police Superintendent, Greg Houdon. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to thank Maria and her team for inviting me here today to say a few words to all of you. I had the opportunity the other day to listen to Maria on WCAP, and unfortunately, the truth is she and her team are busier now than they ever have been. But that's why today is so important, because it gives all of us in leadership roles the opportunity to recognize the courage of our domestic violence victims, those who have stepped out of the darkness to be heard, to be helped, to be an example to others, to show that there is an answer, that there is help. White Ribbon Day is a way to do our part to end domestic violence. Being the victim of domestic violence has to be a very lonely and frightening experience. Unlike other crimes that are committed against victims, where most are stranger-on-stranger crimes, cases of domestic violence involve a person that you love and trust the most. And domestic violence is not just physical. The impacts of psychological abuse, manipulation, intimidation, coercion are often underestimated and often have long-lasting effects. Today and every day, let us remember it is never okay to hit a partner or a family member. Here at the Lowell Police Department, we implore victims to step forward to let us help. We are very fortunate to have some very dedicated police officers and detectives assigned to our Family Services Unit. They are compassionate professionals. We are also fortunate to have our own advocate, Sue Hernandez, one of many LPD personnel that people do not get a chance to meet or to know unless they are a victim of domestic violence. Sue is a vital part of our team and that works tirelessly behind the scenes to help victims. Thank you. I appreciate the work that our police department does. It's important to let victims know that we are here to help and you are not alone. You do not have to live in fear, but you do need to take the first step, which is always the hardest to take. I am proud to wear a white ribbon today to help end domestic violence, and I would again like to thank the Alternative House for your continued partnership and with the Lowell Police Department. Thank you. I would like to introduce now my friend and Middlesex District Attorney Marion Ryan.
Good morning. I echo the thanks to Alternative House and to so many people here who have brought us to another celebration of White Ribbon Day. But I want to flip the script a little bit. I'm pretty fired up this morning because I think there's something else we should be thinking about. You know, I have the privilege of serving on the statewide Domestic Violence Commission. And when we released the report a few weeks ago, we said two things. Number one, fortunately, the numbers of domestic homicides have gone down dramatically. And that is because of the work of everyone here. And that the most important thing to do going forward was public education. That is what we're doing here. But I want to talk about something different, and I have a lot to say about the Lowell Police Department on this issue. Last week, we had a verdict in a case that happened up here, almost exactly 3 years ago, March 31st of 2021. It was a case where a woman who'd been suffering from violence from her husband for a very long time, a lot of which happened in front of other people. A lot of the threats got made in front of other people. A lot of the incidents that had taken place were either witnessed or she had explained to people about what happened. And it went on and on and on. And he would come up with the idea that she was somehow being unfaithful to him. And that would trigger some of these things. They'd be out in public and she would speak too long to a waiter or to somebody that she ran into, and that would trigger some of the violence. And you know what? I think, and it's part of the public education piece, we have started to think that we've taken care of this problem. And we don't have to step in when we see those things. And we don't have to be honest about the fact that if somebody is treating you that way, it's not going to change, and certainly not without some very dramatic intervention. It's not going to change if you try to behave in a way you think won't upset your partner. It's not going to change if your partner says they're going to change. And it's not going to change if you wish that it were different. And in this case, she wished, she tried, and he promised, and it did not change. And on March 31st, he got it into his head, based on nothing, that she was being unfaithful to him. She went into the bathroom to take a bath. In the bathroom. In the bathtub. Naked. He came in and poured gasoline over her and set her on fire. Like, just think about that for a minute. We treat this topic in some ways as much too politely. And this isn't a story that we see on one of those TV true crime shows. This happened up on Varnum. The Lowell Police Department responded to that crime. And when she managed, in a frantic attempt to save her life, literally on fire, that's what we're talking about. She was literally on fire. She got herself out of the bathtub, and she got out to the parking lot. And a neighbor came running out to try to help. Her partner still had it in his head that the neighbor was somehow hitting on her. we can't make this so polite that we're not horrified. And he tried to pull her away from the man who was trying to put out the flames. And the officers were there, and they were trying to help her. And they finally managed to get her in the ambulance and away from him. Now, two things happened. He gave a number of explanations. And the police department did an amazing job, really, in, first of all, overcoming the revulsion at somebody who was setting somebody on fire in the bathtub. But his stories, this is what's really compelling. His story was, first of all, that this was a joke when he went in to set her on fire. That it was some kind of a stunt and a threat, as though that were a way to treat a human being. And then he just flat out lied. It must have been an electrical failure. He hid the gas can. He was busy hiding all of the incriminating evidence, which fortunately the police department tracked down. The state police arson squad, think about it. This is a person, and the arson squad was investigating the injuries she suffered. Came and coupled with Lowell did an amazing job of putting together the evidence against him. And really, probably sadly for her, she didn't die from those burns that she had had over 90% of her body. She survived for almost a month. There is probably nothing more painful than having your burns cleaned and tended to in the hospital. And day after day, the medical staff was frantically doing that, trying to save her life. And she lost that battle that had began when she got herself on fire out of the bathtub, almost a month later. We tried that case a couple of weeks ago. Jury heard all of that evidence. Jury was out a very short period of time, really based on the amazing work that the police department and the arson squad did before they came back with a verdict of murder in the first degree. But I'm challenging you today as you listen to that, and we're all horrified. There are domestic violence incidents that will happen in this city tonight. They'll happen here tomorrow. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend. Things will happen over the weekend. We need to stop being so polite. We need to speak up. We need to call the police when we see something going on, because if in nowhere else has the police department shown the way that they can respond and the cases that they can build than here in Lowell. And we need to remember, things do not change because we want them to. They only change when there is real intervention. And when there really is a determination across the community that this is not okay. It is not okay anymore. So I really challenge you this morning to think about this pledge that you're taking. Think about what you're really saying. You will not tolerate it. You will not stand by. You will help people who are in that I wish and I hope that it would be different stage. And that we do not need to be here next year. That would be the real success, not to say this is our 15th, our 20th, our 25th year. How about if we just made it so unacceptable that people weren't treating people like this? And remember what happened right here in our community. And that but for the good work of the professionals in that matter, he would still be joking and claiming it was a stunt and terrorizing some other partner. So I know that's a little different than what we usually talk about, but this is a great opportunity to make a change. And Lowell is a place that has led the way in this area and can really push us towards being in a different place next year. So thank you for the work. Thank you for taking that challenge. And as you say that pledge, please really think about what you're saying. And think about that in the days ahead among your friends, your family, strangers, and what you see in the community. Thank you.
thank you so much for your very powerful, insightful words, DA Ryan, and to our other two speakers, Mayor Rourke and our Lowell Police Superintendent, Hudon. Just want to say that there are actions that we can all take and be very mindful of. We can lead by example, speak out against violence, embrace awareness and education surrounding this topic, and encourage others to as well. This year, we felt it was very important to unite our community and say the pledge together as one, where there's no differences between any of us. So if you would like to follow along, we're going to go ahead and incite that pledge right now. I pledge to never commit, condone, or remain silent about violence against women, children, intimate partners, and men. From this day forward, I promise to talk to family, friends, and coworkers about stopping violence in our community. I promise to encourage them to do the same, and I promise to lead by example. The white ribbon I am wearing will remind me of this pledge. Thank you all, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.